woman, if you can see that tattoo on a woman's breast,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
then that is she's inappropriately dressed.
Okay.
If I could see the hairs on a man's chest in the church or the temple or house of worship, then he's inappropriately dressed.
Let me ask you this, and we touched on both the male and the female side. So my next question to you is this: do you think there is a double standard in regards to the male and the female in the church?
Well, yeah, in some ways there is, because there are a lot more lenient on males sometimes than on females, and that's only because the style of clothing and the men's style of clothing, it's not too many variations to wear, but women have more variations of style to wear when it comes to shirts, pants, dresses, blouse, these type of things.
Okay.
So that can't be avoided basically.
Okay. So is that the extent of the double standard, or do you think it goes just a little bit further than the dress itself?
I would say that would be the extent of it, because again, unless a man walks into church with his pants hanging down, pants on the ground,
exactly.
that type of thing. But most men, other than just chest hairs out, if they're coming with certain types of shirts on with a body and flexing the muscles, and if they're coming for that reason to flex their biceps and their muscles, and then they're there for the wrong reasons as well.
Okay.
And you can pick up on some of that.
Exactly.
And others is just what they're wearing.
Okay.
And you don't want to condemn anybody or keep anybody from coming to church because of what they wear, but just want Christians to be mindful of how to dress when they come to church.
And they got to know where they're going.
They got to know.
You got to know where they're going.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could change anything about the church, what would it be?
What do you mean about the church? Give me as far as
We talked about the double standards. We talked about the different ways of dressing. The church of the old is different from the church of today. Okay, so if you could go back to some of the ways of the old and compare it to the ways of today, what would be those things that you would grab from there and bring back to this day and time?
one of the things I would bring into the future of today's church.
Yes.
There has not. I don't see too much of it, put it this way, of what used to be the tarrying.
Okay.
And we all understand what that means. You know, a lot of people don't agree with that. A lot of people say, well, but we are, in those days, when people come to church and use the term tarry, they came for the reason everyone coming together, praying and seeking the Lord in the Spirit as a unit, praying together. And it reminds me of the day of Pentecost, when they were all in the upper room, all on one accord. Now, again, we know what the biblical term for that is. We know what tarrying really means. But the fact is, they came together on one accord with one purpose in mind, praying and seeking the Lord as a body. 120, let's say, that what the number was. So 120 as one body seeking the Lord. So I would love to see those type of things come back into the church today, where people can come together just for the sole purpose of tarrying, seeking God, praying, foot washing. I would love to see more of that. After communion service, there will be foot washing, or either a certain night for foot washing. I would love to see more of that. Now, again, today's church, the young people are moving forward with different style, different reason. That is understandable. But if we don't, it will be, I would say it would be good, a great thing, to keep some of the old traditions that were so meaningful and that had such a great impact in the spirit realm, not just in the flesh, but in the spirit, and had a great impact. Again, tarrying, or midnight prayer, or foot washing, and these things had a lot of significance in the church.
Where would you say, and staying along the same lines, church of the old? Church is going through certain transitions. Church is going through certain transitions where, you know, it was the speaking in the tongue, and then there was a lot of different things, roles that the church has changed throughout this time. how do you feel about those changes? Do you think they're just?
Yeah, change is, now, don't get me wrong, change is good,
Okay.
because as you grow, and as each generation comes along, there's gonna be a change. The thing about change is sometimes we forget the past that, that had a great significance
Okay.
in our lives before we progress to the change or to the new ways, a new style,
Okay.
or a new transition into what we call a better place,
Okay.
or
Okay.
a better move of God. But and that's even in the scriptures. We just don't read the New Testament
Okay.
and forget about the Old.
Okay.
We still read the Old Testament,
Yes. Yes.
which later came a change when Christ came, who brought in changes as well. But we don't forget about the Old.
Okay.
We incorporate the two together. Excuse me. And as the change come in, the two will always tie together.
Okay. Do you think a part of that change has a lot to do, or a symbol of that change is the music?
Yes, music has a lot to do with it.
Okay.
Of course, you know, in the days of old, our grandmothers and parents sung differently. The music was played differently. Those sorts of things. Even the words of different songs are differently sung. Again, those were good songs. Those songs have some significant meanings to them. And it meant a lot to the people in those days who sung those songs, even today.
Okay.
The new music that's come today, we don't shun it as long as
Okay.
the spirit is in the music.
Okay.
Because the young people have a different style, different way of singing. The Spirit of God moves upon them differently based on what they are familiar with today.
Okay.
But at the same time, they still must be taught that however God used you,
Yes.
let the Spirit of God be in there more so than your ideas or style or change or what's happening or what's hip today.
Okay.
Because now you have what is called hip-hop gospel.
Yes. Yes.
You have other types of gospel that's in the church today. There's a thin line between love and hate.
Okay. Okay.
So they have to be very careful. There's a thin line between the world and the church.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All it takes is one step over, you'll be in the world.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
then one step over, you'll be back in the church.
Absolutely.
So there has to be a distinct separation
Okay.
between the church and the world.
Okay.
That's why the scripture teaches us to be not like the world. Come out from among them and be ye separate. That's why those scriptures are there. To show us that there's a difference between the church and the world. There's a difference between holy and unholy.
Yeah.
Clean and unclean.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you think the music was a tool that was used to